I actually have 3 stories written, and I can't decide which one. So I want you guys to help me. The first one is about my experience with the Mighty Ducks, like the movie. So my first one, Mighty Ducks. Second one is about OCD. Third one is about white power. How many people want to hear Mighty Ducks? All right. OCD?
Yeah.
And white power? All right, we'll do OCD. OCD is the least funny one, but it's cool. So there's prologue. There's this joke that's not funny, but I'm going to tell you anyway because it's related to the story. That this guy in an office in a skyscraper downtown, every time someone comes into his office, he snaps his fingers. And one day a new employee says to him, why is it that every time someone opens your door, you snap your fingers? And he says, to keep the lions and tigers and bears away. His employee's like, what are you talking about? We're in downtown Philadelphia. There are no lions and tigers and bears here. And the guy says, see, it's working. Yeah, it's not funny. When I was growing up, and I didn't realize it at the time, I didn't realize it until when I was in college, but I've always had obsessive compulsive disorder. And I'm going to give you one example of how it manifested. I would go to the bathroom and I would wash my hands. And after I was done washing my hands, in my mind, I would start to think, well, I didn't do it well enough. So I'd go back and I'd do it again. And I still didn't feel like I had done it well enough. And if I didn't go back to wash my hands, I'd start saying, well, you're doing this because you want to get other people sick. How weird is that you want to get other people sick? You need to go back and wash your hands. So however I resisted doing it, it still came back. The OCD still came back, and it just became worse. So I just always gave in, and I would wash my hands 5 or 6 times every time that I needed to. And it wasn't so debilitating that I couldn't get through things, couldn't get through life in general regularly. But I had a couple times where it just got to be too much, and I couldn't deal with it anymore. It happened to me twice in high school, once my freshman year, once my senior year. And then when I was a sophomore in college, it also got to this point where I was like, I can't deal with this. I need to go talk to somebody about it. And so I went to the counselor where I went to college, the University of Scranton, woot woot. And the counselor there gave me this book. And it was by an author named Edna Foa. Edna Foa just so happened to work at the University of Pennsylvania in their Center for the Treatment and Study of Anxiety. Now, as a college student coming home in the summer and on spring break, I really had like nothing to do. So I looked up her email address, found it, emailed her, and figured, maybe this is worth a try. She emails me back and tells me to come in and get checked out. Now, Edna Foa runs in Pennsylvania, at the University of Pennsylvania, the #1 center in the world for treating OCD. Like, she's the revolutionary, she's got this revolutionary method for treating it. And so I'm like, I would really like to get in here. So I get checked out, and there's this thing called the Yale-Brown Obsessive Compulsive Scale, which measures you on a scale of 0 to 40, like 0 to Mark Summers, I guess. And I got like a 22, but they told me that it was such that the cost of the program was not covered by my insurance, so I wouldn't be able to do it. However, they were doing a research study where I could enter and maybe be chosen in the right group. But I could enter the research study, and eventually I would get the treatment from them. So it's like, wow, this is really fortuitous, that this happens in my city that I'm from. I can get there real easily, and I don't need to pay for this program. It's great. So I got in, and it was unlike any kind of therapy that I've ever had in my life. It was, instead of just sitting down and talking, we did do some of that, we went places and did things. So one example of this was one thing that I had to do, and I had to do it for 3 or 4 months. The doctor just said, you can't wash your hands. So I went 3 or 4 months straight without washing my hands. It was crazy. So you can imagine, and for a regular person to do that, but then for someone who thinks this way, and the interesting thing is eventually those thoughts slow down. And I wash my hands in the shower, so don't judge too harshly. So eventually those thoughts slow down, and what you realize is those thoughts are ridiculous, and you can start to recognize when it's OCD and when it's you. And I thought that this was something I was born with, that I was always going to have, and it was, and it is, and it's something that's a part of me, but it's something that now they gave me the ability to rise above. And by the time that I had exited the program, I scored an 11 on the scale out of 40. And so what that means is that if I had entered at that point, they wouldn't have let me in because the condition was so minimal. My symptoms were so minimal. And so now I felt like when someone came into my office, they could open the door, and though I might feel intense for a moment, I had learned not to snap. Thank you.